Yeah. So we had gone through it. We know we both gotten through PT school and got in there. For those that don't know, what's the typical process that what does it take to get into PT school really, and what goes into it?
I guess it's different at every school. I mean, coming from a state school up in New York, the process was a couple of years of exercise science. You get the prereqs, and PT school is quite competitive. I had no idea that, you needed at least above a 3.5, and most people get even higher than that just to get into PT school for a GPA. So, going through those anatomy, physiology prereqs, taking the gross anatomy lab over summer, which is, intensive, but you learn a lot. Um, I wouldn't say it's an easy path, but it's enjoyable if that's your niche.
Yeah, and definitely we had a lot. I had a lot. There was a lot of people in our class that kind of were doing other stuff too at the time. I remember one of our friends; she was doing swimming at the time, and several kids, even Frankie, did track and other amongst other things during the time. So allowed for people to kind of do many things at the same time.
Yeah, I think that was, definitely a good plus of PT school. Once you got in, is classes were scheduled so that you could have, play a sport on the side. Or I worked as a PT tech all 3 years of grad school, so you're able to, if you can keep a balanced schedule, I think it's actually harder to get in than to stay in PT school.
For sure. Yeah. Well, there were, yeah, definitely easier to stay in than get out. But what did you have any mentors, anybody who like maybe push you towards physical therapy?
I would say, I mean, I guess it would be more my friend group at the time pushed me towards it. But I did have a great mentor, Brian Bratta. He was the director of sports medicine at University at Buffalo, and just by chance got to do a exercise science internship with him, and he taught me a lot in the athletic training field, and it really kind of sparked my interest more into PT. Seeing the rehab side of things with the D1 athletes at Buffalo, and working with volleyball, wrestling, women's basketball, just seeing all different sorts of injuries, and give all the credit to those athletic trainers. They're on the front lines, making a quick assessment, diagnosis, treatment, and they're doing the day in and day out grind with those athletes. And I think I almost went that route as well, but PT felt a little bit more natural to me than the athletic training, I guess.
Yeah, likewise. I did when I started off at school to become an engineer, and then I switched to sports medicine, and that was kind of leading down a path of athletic training. And I got on the field a little bit, and it was nice, but it wasn't. Not that it wasn't challenging; it's certainly very challenging. But I felt like there was more to PT than athletic training and strength coaching had led on, and ultimately led my route down PT. And maybe your own definition, what would you say the biggest difference between those are, like a strength coach, an athletic trainer, and then like a physical therapist?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, we all overlap so much in what we do. Um, you know, from the strength and conditioning side of things, you're definitely, more into the programming, the nutrition, what the athletes' schedules are. Your schedule's going to be crazy, waking up early hours to get those morning workouts in, and the middle of your day is your downtime to have life, see your family and stuff. And at the end of the day, you go back. So it's a real big difference in the schedules. For same thing with athletic training. They're first thing in the morning, they're treating the athletes, they're prepping the fields, and the middle of the day is kind of their downtime until the athletes are ready for game time or a practice. And so you got a really long day in those two career fields when it comes to lifestyle. Whereas PT, if you're in the sports side of things, you can certainly have that schedule as well. But for the most part, we work the 9 to 5s, or we flex our schedules a little bit based on patient needs. But we just have a little bit more of a balance, work life balance in that sense. And from the diagnosis, treatment, assessment, we all do things a little bit differently. We're all looking for different aspects of our profession. So I mean, we all work together, but we're so different in how we work with an individual.
Yeah, I think a good point of that would definitely be just like athletic trainers and strength and conditioning coach. It's just straight up athletes, and it's whatever the athletes wants. I mean, it's just everything goes towards getting the athlete to perform at their best. And strength coaching is definitely maximizing peak performance. I would say athletic training is like perhaps crutching along to get you to continue through a season. And then PT, I feel like, is like almost the off time from the season to get you like completely back, because with PTs, we have this whole rehab process where you start from day one and we get you to a certain goal, where athletic training, you may be taping, or it may be modification, or it may be, and maybe another athletic trainer could speak more on this than I could, but I feel like the biggest discernible difference is getting some of the ground zero stuff, especially with like post surgical implications. It's certainly, PTs serve a bigger role in that realm versus where athletic training and strength and conditioning coach may be just like getting the athletes over the hurdle just to continue playing and get them back in the game.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree with that. And then, with the athletic training too, getting those mid-season operations where they can, take 2 weeks off and get back on the field. That's the athletic trainers running that rehab process under the surgeon's directive. Is they're trying to condense, a 6-week PT program into 2 weeks and get this athlete back on the field, get them to perform and be at their highest level they can be. And with that, being able to educate the athlete, I think, is a huge challenge, just to let them know, this is, you're not fully healed at this time. You can play, you can go, a certain percentage, but you got to listen to your body so you don't make things worse. And that's that balance of educating the athlete. Is it worth it to push through now, and finish out your season, or do you just stop now and rest up for the next year and try to perform at a higher level next year? And there's a lot more at stake decisions, I think, from a strength and conditioning coach and athletic training than, say, PT. We're not really in any rush usually, unless we're working with an athlete or something, but for the most part, we have time on our side.